So I recently took my nursing state board exam and I passed. I don't know if you can read that, but it says I passed. You gotta take my word for it. I was studying until my eyes were bleeding, so if I didn't pass, that would be kind of a downer. But now that everything is all finished, I'm in this really weird state of mind where I feel like I need to be productive or else my brain is like, get up and do something! So since I've abandoned this channel for a year, I thought I could take all this excess energy and just shove it into a video about the experience I had during LNA training. If you came here expecting actual tips and advice, I'm so sorry. The exit button's right up there. What I want to do instead is to regurgitate some of the more interesting things that have happened. Actually, what I want to do is take all of these memories and just shove them in a little box in the back of my mind, but I guess if I'm going to be working in this field, I'm going to have to suck it up. And for those concerned, I will be omitting things like names of residents and the facility I worked at because I'm not a complete idiot. Okay, I've said what I wanted to, so now I should probably start the actual video. Our first assignment in the class was to find an ethical dilemma to discuss. I hate writing, but I wanted the teacher to know that I'm a good noodle. So as soon as I got home, I spent about 3 hours typing up a 2-page, double-spaced, works-cited essay about Harambe the gorilla. This was before dicks out for Harambe even became a thing. I was ahead of the curve. I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this, and the next day I go to class and I'm talking with everyone and I'm like, oh, that essay was quite a doozy, wasn't it? And then they told me that we didn't even have to write an essay, we only had to choose a topic to talk about in class, and then we didn't even do that. Harambe, I hope you're laughing it up in monkey heaven. Are you done yet? Thank you. The first skill we practiced in the lab was repositioning, and somehow I got volunteered to act as the patient. I lay in the bed and everyone comes over to one side to roll me over. The instructor walks over and she tells the guy holding me under my legs that he's actually supposed to be holding me under my hips, and she moves his arms so that his hands are firmly grasping my underbutt. If you don't know what an underbutt is, I made a very helpful diagram. This area where the thighs meet the cheek, that is what's known as the underbutt. And he was really holding on to it. I'm about to say, wait a second, I do not consent to this, but without any warning, I'm already being flipped like a pancake. And now that memory will just be with me forever. Another day in class, we're going over the textbook when we get to everyone's favorite part, learning how to wash and care for the private areas. I'm sitting there trying to look anywhere else except for the very detailed photos up on the projector when the instructor asks, has anyone here ever come in contact with an uncircumcised penis? Obviously no one wants to say anything, the room is dead silent, but I couldn't take it anymore, I'm not mature. I start laughing so hard. Everyone else in the class is like, nervous laughter, but I am full on, can't breathe, tears streaming down my face, clapping like a seal, just losing my shit. Somehow I control myself and the instructor is like, so where was I? And this guy from Brazil in the most serious voice ever says, you were talking about scrubbing the ball cheese, teacher. And that just starts me off again. I didn't get a lot of work done that day. Later on, I found out that our instructor was going to be giving us student evaluations at the end of the program, and I'm a good student. I get straight A's, but I thought it couldn't hurt to do a little bit of ass kissing. We were practicing compression stockings, and she asked if anyone would like to volunteer, and trying to suck up, I was like, I'll do it, teacher! I don't know if anyone watching knows what a compression stocking is, but I didn't at the time. It's a special knee-high sock that is really, really tight to stimulate blood flow in the feet. Trying to put one on is like trying to put a condom on a pool noodle. The whole class was gathered around me trying to force these torture devices onto my very stubbly legs. And I completely forgot that I'm a very ticklish person. I was flailing so hard I nearly kicked someone in the face. If you learn anything from this, it should be just save the embarrassment and don't volunteer for things. Okay, I still feel really guilty for this. It was the day before clinical training and the instructor was really on my ass. Specifically my ass. Everyone else's asses were fine apparently, just not mine. Every 10 minutes she would come up to me with a new complaint like, you need to hem your pants, you need to get your hair out of your face, you need to wear white socks. Who the hell would be looking at my socks like, oh, this girl, her socks aren't white, I don't really know about her. She comes up to me again and tells me that I need to get waterproof shoes and I just want her to leave me alone. I say the first thing that comes into my mind, which is something along the lines of, who can afford to buy new shoes with this damned economy? I thought it worked, but the next day she asks me to stay after, so I do. She starts going through her purse and she pulls out a $10 bill and she's like, I know times are rough, but go get yourself some new shoes for class. I tried to explain to her that I didn't need it, but I couldn't exactly tell her that I only said that because she was bugging me, so I took the money and I bought shoes. In my defense, at least I didn't use it for something like drugs. On the second day of clinicals, we had to perform a bed bath. I was working as an assistant to these other 2 girls in class, and the resident we had was really not a morning person. She told us that she wanted to wear her gold bracelet, and we looked all over the room but we didn't see it, so I left to get someone who would know where it was. I found someone, a short blonde woman with a really heavy Russian accent, who said that she would come take a look. She walks into the room and the resident takes one look at her and goes, "You're ugly." I didn't know how to respond, but the LNA just laughed, so I guess this was a normal occurrence. So after we finished up our last day of clinicals, I was sitting outside waiting for my ride to pick me up when this guy pulls up in a van and he asks me if I know where a resident's room is. I find this kind of strange, but not really, because doctors are always coming in and out of the nursing home. I go wait in the lobby and I explain the situation to the receptionist and she says, "Oh yes, that resident died recently." I say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. When did this happen?" And she says, "About an hour ago." The guy comes in with a stretcher and the situation hits me like a brick. I'm like, okay, her room is down the hall and to the left. You can't miss it. Bye. I go back outside and about 15 minutes later, he comes back through the main doors, past all the crying mourning people in the lobby with a stretcher and a very suspicious lump on it covered in a blanket. I'm trying not to pay attention, but he goes over a bump in the doorway and the body bounces and is about 2 inches from hitting me. I know working in this field, someday I might have to see a dead body, but that doesn't mean I want one in my lap. We narrowly avoid that, and he just roughly shoves a stretcher in the back of his van and drives off. I give you a 0 for discretion, buddy. I kind of lied earlier when I said that was my last day because even though it was for everyone else, I missed 2 clinicals, so I had to make that up with another class. So on my actual last day, I was helping a guide do a bed bath on a resident when I hear some yelling at her door. I go check on it and there's this guy standing there and he tells me that we need to keep the TV in the room down, and I'm like, there isn't a TV in this room. He doesn't say anything, he just walks away, and then 10 minutes later he actually comes back and turns the lights in our room off. I go to turn them back on and then from outside the door I can hear him fighting with another resident and they're yelling and swearing and he's saying, "I'll turn things off if I damn want to." And then I hear a really loud slap. I'm frozen in place wondering if I should let another nurse handle it or go out there and try and break up this old man brawl. It gets really quiet, so I decide to take a look-see in case someone had a heart attack. I peek my head down the hall and the only person in there is an old man sitting in his wheelchair completely naked from head to toe. I get that if someone has dementia or if they're confused, they might do things that are out of the ordinary, but that was very out of the ordinary. If you thought this video was almost over, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I still want to go over what happened at the state board exam. Like I said at the beginning, I was studying and preparing for so long. I got to the exam 40 minutes early, and I was pretty nervous, but I was ready to take the test, put it over my knee, and make it call me Big Daddy. Someone walks into the room and she's carrying both her driver's license and her passport, and that's when I remember I was supposed to bring 2 forms of ID. The woman giving the exam comes in and I'm like, "Hey, I forgot my IDs. Can I take the test and give it to you later?" She says no and that she needs to see them before the test starts. She asks me if I drove there without a driver's license and I tell her I don't have a driver's license, I got a ride from someone. "Well, what about a non-driver's ID?" "My boyfriend's mom has it." "Where's she? Can she bring it to you?" "She's on a plane to DC. I gave my non-driver's ID to Mrs. Mom a while back because I thought if I had it, I would definitely lose it, and she was at the time 40,000 feet up in the air, on her way to a conference 500 miles away from home. Thank God the woman sitting next to me offered to give me a ride back to my house. I ran faster than I ever had in my entire life and grabbed my passport and my debit card. It all worked out in the end, but just talking about it right now is giving me heart palpitations. So that is some of the wacky antics that happened during LNA training. There were also some really amazing, heartwarming moments, but no one wants to hear about those. If you actually made it this far in the video, gold star. I'll repay your efforts by offering you some of my sage wisdom. Going into this field, there are going to be a lot of people who think they know what's best because they're older or more experienced, and don't let them bully you or push you around because then you'll just be their doormat and it'll be like high school all over again. And always wipe front to back to prevent UTIs. Thanks for watching. Bye!